How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Episode 100. Fucking crazy. Honestly. It's strange to think about. It happens so fast. In an instant, next thing you know, you're 2 years deep into just an idea. And I don't even know what to say. Genuinely, it feels good. It also, I think, brings us to our first big lesson. And one of the things that I think is so huge, especially in this world, this to me is probably the biggest thing that I feel like I've learned is perfectionism is a disease. It's a disease. You need to take it that seriously because it's bullshit. What the fuck is perfect even? It is a made up fantasy in our head of the way that we think things should be. And all it does is stop people from being who they are and being imperfect and showing up and doing something consistently and over and over and over and reaching the goals and the things that they want in their life. To me, this is the number one thing. And the reason I bring this up so early in the podcast, because that's what it is. I look at it, I'm like, yo, episode 100, I've had some episodes that honestly were garbage. I've had some episodes that I shared some things that, I don't know, maybe I wasn't in the right state to share it. Each one, I've learned something different about myself. And guess what? I put it out there. Imperfect as fuck. And to me, that's one of the biggest things in life too, is that's what it is. It's a long ass journey of imperfect choices. And you're never going to have all of the information before you make a choice in your life. So everything in life, it's you just got to take your best shot and you don't control anything else. And it's so real in all aspects of life, business, relationships, all this shit. And I think what I realized, the biggest difference between me when I was 25 and me now, I'm 32 by the way, is just learning to really let go of perfect. Because if you're trying to be perfect, what you're showing to yourself is that you don't trust. You don't trust yourself. You have this, again, expectation of the way things should be, and especially we do it to ourselves. Everybody's a fucking perfectionist. Everybody expects themselves to be number one, amazing at everything. Honestly, you want to know the truth? That was my life goal at one point, believe it or not. I used to walk around my college campus back in the day, and I used to tell myself in my head, I want to be the best at everything. That's my goal. My goal is to be the fittest, the wealthiest, the funniest, the smartest, every aspect of the game. I want to fuck good. I want to be charismatic. I want to be athletic. I want to be this. I want to be that. And I need to do it at 110%. I need to be an A student across the board. And that's what we do. And you don't even realize that by striving for this level of perfection, you put on these crazy expectations of yourself that you never hit. You crush your own self-worth. You procrastinate. You don't do the things that you actually know that you are born to do because you are so scared of judging yourself, of the self-judgment, of the self-rejection. And what I'm learning as I get older is what the fuck is even perfect? Nothing is. Think about the amount of choices you can make at one time. Think about the amount of directions you can go in with a piece of art or a video or a relationship. How do you know who you're going to run into? How do you know what you're even going to think of? You don't control any of it. And who's to say what's better, blue or red? You see what I'm saying? There's unlimited amounts of choices at all times in all areas of life. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is like, if you really want to do great things in life, or I don't know, to be honest, just be at peace. That's really what to me, that's the ultimate goal, right? It's like, you want to be at peace. What's the whole point of being in a relationship? What's the whole point of making $1,000,000? Oh, well, I think the reason is because then I'll have ultimate freedom and I'll have everything that I want. Which will give you what? If you get everything that you want, what will that bring you? Probably a feeling. What's the feeling that you want? Joy, peace, contentment. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that you can access those things right now. And the way that you do that is you let go of the bullshit standard and the expectations that you have on yourself. And you probably got them from the world. I mean, think about the biggest fear that I think that we all have, right? It's how other people are going to perceive, right? How does this look? And I understand for a lot of us, some of us, it's like self-judgment. But I truly believe that a lot of our self-judgment is based on the judgment that we think that others are going to have of us or the things that we're doing. It is so fucking difficult in this world to truly, genuinely be you. You know how much self-trust you need in order to just emit your frequency? Knowing that not everybody's going to fuck with that frequency. Not everybody's going to care. And I don't know. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like, as I've gotten older, I've just realized like it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. There's no such thing. There's no right podcast that I can make. There's no like perfect fucking video that I can make. I have been so far in my head about all these choices. Again, business, relationships, analysis paralysis, just letting fear destroy me. Oh, what is she going to think about that? What if I look weak? What if I look needy? What if I get 1,000 views? What are people going to think about me? Am I going to be cool anymore? Am I going to be hot? What if my hair doesn't look like perfect today? What if my body sucks? What if my diet sucks? There's so much out of your fucking control. And I guess what I'm trying to really tell you is that like, what's the point of trying to control it? That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be so much better to live your life where you just owned who you were at all times? Like something that I've been practicing lately, and this is to me the core of all the work that I help people with, especially my clients, like this is it. The number one thing that you need to build in your life is self-trust. Number one. How do you build self-trust? You take the risk of being yourself. You take the risk of sharing your truth. You take the risk of being open and vulnerable for exactly who you are. That is the ultimate level of peace. That is freedom, not $1,000,000, not a relationship. It's when you just trust yourself to do the things that you love to do and you don't give a fuck who's watching. And actually, no, you know what? That's not even true. It's actually when you do care about the people watching and you still do it anyway. That's the risk. The risk of being yourself. And that's what I'm realizing, like for myself, is like I am so much happier and at peace when I'm just sharing what I want to share, but it's fucking hard. How many times are you staring down the barrel of the gun when you have a risky text message that you want to send somebody? Or for me, right? Sometimes I'm looking at a video, I'm like, this shit is goofy as fuck. It doesn't make any sense. I'm laughing at it because I think it's funny. But are like other people going to think it's funny? What if I post this and people think I'm fucking stupid? Or you know what? It's not that funny. Like people aren't going to get it. Like it's not going to get that many views. Like let me just put it away. How many times on a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, do we fucking reject ourselves? At all times. I have just shown myself in that moment, looking at that video of myself and telling myself, no, Chris, actually, who you are, as you are, imperfect as you are, is not enough. And then it reinforces. And I would say that's majority of people. I would say the 99%. That's all it is. We struggle to trust who we genuinely are because of fear of things not working out. That to me is the biggest mental shift that you can make. And I was literally telling a client this today on the phone. You have to trust that if you emit your frequency as you are safe. You are not going to die. You're going to receive the things that you want, maybe not on the timeline that you want. And actually, sometimes the things that you think that you want are not even the best things for you. That's what's crazy. Is a lot of us think that we know that we want the thing that we want, but we don't even realize that God has a way bigger plan for us than what we can ever imagine. And by making those choices to not be yourself, you're not trusting in something beyond yourself. You're not trusting yourself. Like you sending a risky text to somebody, sharing your fucking truth about how you feel, the outcome doesn't fucking matter. So let me give you an example. Last week, right, I came on the podcast and I was talking about the girl. I was like, I had to ghost this girl, right? I was like, I'm done with this shit. You know, she dismissed me. She took like a day and a half to respond after doing it before. She was clearly being cold. She was clearly being distant. That is true. Truth. Now, here's the thing. Everything happens for a fucking reason. And let me show you where imperfection and self-trust and love and being real all collides. So what happens is she's dismissing me. My nervous system is fucked, right? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm feeling weird. I feel like I pushed this girl's boundaries and now she's distancing herself away from me and I'm getting triggered as fuck. So what I do is what happens? That's a fear-based response. Her fear and avoidance of me started to trigger me and my avoidance. This is why fear fucking sucks, is because that's all it does. Is it fucking just I was going to say endangers. You guys know that word, endangers? You guys know what I'm talking about, like cause and effect, all right? Cause and effect. Her fear caused me to have fear. And that's what the world is. Like I said, in its totality, that's what it is. All day long, all you're just seeing are things that are preventing you from being who you are. It's all fear-based bullshit. But to my point, in this situation, her fear is making and triggering my fear. Now I'm like, okay, this person doesn't like me, or maybe I pushed her boundaries or some shit. So what did I do? Fear-based response. I ran away. I said, you know what? I'm ghosting this girl. She's not respecting me. She's not showing up for me. I'm not doing it, right? Fuck all that. Now, you know, a few days go by. I'm sitting with it, right? And my body's telling me something. And my ego is fighting it. Well, I just recorded this podcast. I just told all my listeners that I ghosted this girl. Like, I can't go back on my word. I can't say something to this person. Why would I do that? Why would I go back to somebody that was being dismissive towards me, that was not showing up for me? I had, you know what I'm saying? I was firm. I was firm in my fear. But what happened? My body started to tell me different things. You know what was happening? As the days were going by, each day I was waking up and think, like, my body, I was feeling it. And I was like, something doesn't feel right about this decision. Something doesn't feel right. I'm like, damn, did I really just run away from this person? And then you sit with it, right? And then your fear calms down, your trigger calms down. And then what happens? This is for most avoidance too. You know, you run away, right? Because you make a rash decision because you're like, fuck all this. I'm making a choice. And then, you know, your nervous system calms down and you start to see things a little bit more objectively. And I'm looking at the message. I'm like, you know, to be honest, she communicated with me that she was feeling anxious. She did take her space away from me, which is true. I offered to hang out. She didn't respond in a timely manner, which I don't control, right? Again, she's probably feeling fear. She's still processing. And, you know, she asked me how my week was, and she told me she wasn't available to hang out, which, again, she is creating more distance, which is truth. And I knew that. But I also did recognize in that moment that I don't know. It kind of felt like I was also being an ego. I was also trying to control in a way. I'm being a little harsh, right? Okay. I could sense that this person's distancing themselves from me, but what is it? It's fear of rejection. It's fear that I'm not going to get my needs met. It's fear that I'm going to get taken advantage of. It's fear that, that this girl actually doesn't like me. I mean, valid, right? This is for most of us, right? Fear of the things that we cannot control, which is the outcomes and another person. So what do? We run away. We hide. We don't show up anymore. We leave when it gets hard. And again, what do? We expect perfection from them, right? I had this expectation that she should have shown up in the ways that I wanted her to at the times that I needed her to. And so that's what was happening, right? The few days that go by, I could feel it in my body because I feel this anxiety and this tension. And then my head is arguing with what I know in my heart to be true. And I'm wrestling with it. I'm like, should I send a message? Should I call her? So I woke up Monday morning and it was still sitting there. And something that I've learned about myself is that if I'm sitting on a message or I'm sitting on a person and there feels like there's this tension, that I probably need to take an action in this moment. For me as an avoidant, if you're an anxious person, I think it would be a little different, genuinely. Because I think for avoidance, it's more like if you're feeling that tension about, let's say, somebody that you ghosted, or tension about somebody that you had some choice words with, or you know that you ran away with, you didn't send the message, you knew that you still have this like yearning for them, but you've created distance. And trust me, that happens a lot in my relationships where I will create that distance on the first side of bullshit. But you have a choice in those moments. Do you continue to sit there and let ego drive you and let your mind drive you and your intellect drive you? Or do you let your heart drive you? Do you open yourself up for potential hurt? Do you open yourself up to the risk of not getting your needs met? And what I realized is that I asked myself this simple question. I ask my coaches this all the time too. And I asked myself this. I was like, did I make that decision out of fear? Or did I make that decision out of love? That decision was made out of fear. Fear that if I respond and I continue the conversation, that she won't actually care about me, or that she doesn't actually care about me. So, but here's the thing, right? I'm imperfect. And I think that's the other hard part too, is like sometimes we make a choice about something and we think that we know we're right in this moment. And then a few days go by and we sit with certain things and we learn something new about ourselves. And it's crazy because, again, this level of perfectionism crushes me. Because then I feel like I need to be so fucking consistent to the people on the podcast. I need to be so consistent about the things that I've said to my friends or whatever the fuck. Or, now that I've already ghosted her, because I've already done it, I got to stick with it now. Because I can't look stupid. I can't look imperfect. I can't look fearful. I can't look inconsistent. That's bullshit. How am I going to be perceived? And this is the growth and the difference, I think, for me in relationships specifically. So I turn around and what do? Monday morning, I wake up and I was like, fuck it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be real. And I was like, hey, I know it's taken a moment for me to reach back out. Obviously, things got a little hazy afterwards, but I did enjoy hanging out with you. If you're open to it, I'm down to hop on a call and talk about it. If not, that's okay. You know how hard it was for me to send that message? Vulnerability is not easy. Taking the risk of showing your heart is not easy. Because what could happen? Imagine she doesn't answer that at all and she ghosts me back in return. Because that took 5 days to answer her. Right? Maybe I'd have to feel the disappointment of, I don't know, that situation not working out. But this is where we need to have that level of self-trust, right? This is what I'm talking about with the self-trust. It's not about the outcome. It's about the trust to be yourself and to emit your love and to emit your frequency, no matter the outcome. Because guess what? After I sent that message, yes, it felt a little heavy, but it felt so much better than fucking ghosting somebody. Then my body knows now. It's programmed for love at this point. Like when I make fearful fucking actions or I don't show up the ways that I want to, it tells me. It knows. So, long story short, she asked me what time I was available. Told her what's good. We got on the phone. Squashed it. And it was amazing. It was like just good vibes. Like I told her, I was like, hey, I was just honest. I was like, hey, like, to be honest, the reason I feel like I was very triggered is like, I felt like some distance from you. And then you were telling me that you were feeling anxious after the date. I felt responsible for that. And so because of that, I ran away and I just felt triggered by that. And then she was like, I'm really sorry that I made you feel that way. I could see why you felt that way. And she was like, yeah, I was also scared. Like I cross boundaries that I didn't want to for myself. I was actually mad at myself more than I was really you. And I just needed space to process and, kind of just sit with it. She was running away too. And it was crazy. Like, and again, this doesn't mean like, I don't know, we're going to be together or anything like that. But it was more like, hey, let's reset. Like we hung out with each other one time, yeah, just know that I don't care. I literally told her, I was like, I don't care if you're busy. Like, I don't care if you take a day and a half to like respond. I want you to succeed. Like I encouraged her, like, work. She's a hustler. I love that about her. I was like, do you? I was like, and then we started talking about even like, I was telling her about my previous situation. She's like, yeah, you talk about your exes a lot online. And she's like, yeah, a lot of that stuff just made me feel some type of way. There's some other details as well. Again, I'm not going to share the whole phone call. But it's crazy what vulnerability will do for you. But you got to allow yourself to be imperfect. You got to allow yourself to be vulnerable. You got to allow yourself to be real and lead with love. And this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of like just life in general. It's not going to be perfect. No relationship is a straight line. No business is a straight line. You're going to do things where like you fucking fail or you fuck up or you say something that you didn't mean to fucking say and shit hits the fan and you fucking fail and you make mistakes. But the whole point is that you need to recognize is that you're never going to be perfect. It's never going to be that way. But you need to love yourself and just appreciate life as it is, which is an imperfect existence at all times. You know what I'm saying? I sit up here as somebody that is a guide, a coach for a lot of people. And sometimes I get really in my own head. Sometimes I feel that imposter syndrome, like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I let fear beat me in a relationship. I'm like, how can I do this? I'm a coach. I know this shit. Bullshit. Why am I holding myself to that standard? Fuck that. To say that my like coaching or my guidance is invalid because I make mistakes or I'm not 100% living ultimately confident at 100% times, making all the perfect choices at all times is bullshit. And if you think that there's anybody out there that is actually like that, you're fucking crazy. Crazy. There is no guru. There is no coach. There is no therapist. There is nobody that is not making mistakes at all times. I don't care if they're 55 years old. I don't care if they're 65. They're still learning every single fucking day. And so are you. And this is what I'm trying to tell you is like, get that shit out of your fucking head that you should be further than where you are right now. Oh, I should be doing this. I should. Fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. But to my point, the only thing that, again, I can control is showing up and being me and trying to live with love and confidence and good energy as much as I can, but still loving myself even when I don't. Even when I'm not perfect, I'm still lovable. Even when I take 5 days to answer you because my avoidance came out, I still deserve good energy. And I got to trust that all these things are happening for a reason. Maybe us having that fearful moment where we took 5 days to have some separation was actually the best thing for our situation, which I truly believe it was, because I think it gave us space to breathe. I think it gave us space to process our feelings a little bit. That's what I'm saying. Is like you even when the bad shit happens, quote unquote, even through a breakup, even through some bullshit, it's probably the best thing for you. And again, what happens? We think, right? Human, you, me, think that a certain action or a certain situation should have gone the other way. Hey, it's sunny today. Oh man. Or it's raining today. Oh man, I wish it was sunny. Maybe the rain was the best thing fucking for you that day. You do not know that information. And so again, it's very freeing when you live life from that place though. When you live life from this place of like, I don't need to be perfect and I'm going to stop trying. And I'm just going to surrender to my experience. I'm going to surrender to the fact that, again, fear is going to beat me. I'm going to surrender to the fact that I'm not where I feel like I should be right now. Surrender. Let go. You don't have that person that you love. It's the best thing for you. The feelings that you're having right now that are so heavy and it feels insurmountable. And let's say you're in the shithole, you're sad, you're lonely, whatever. Guess what? It's the best thing for you right now. Doesn't it suck that the best things for you in life are actually also the worst things for you in life? When will you realize that? And when will you realize sometimes that the best things that you think are for you are actually sometimes the worst? And the error that we make as human beings is thinking that we know better. You don't. You don't. And speaking of exes, I have 2 quick little updates on some things that I talked about on some previous podcasts. So last podcast, I also threw in a little tiny, if you guys remember at the end of that podcast, I talked about, do you ever like get over that person that you loved deeply? Essentially, that's me paraphrasing. And then I brought up, my ex, and I brought up like how, I was like, oh, we met when we were 20 and like, I feel like, she still cares about me. And I was like, I don't really know what's going on. You know what's fucking crazy is I got off that podcast and homegirl sent me a DM, and a wild one. I'm not going to blow up the spot because I'm not going to say what was said to me, but god damn. It's fucking crazy. It really is. Maybe there are some people in life that you never, get over. I would say for me personally, I'm going to be honest. I don't believe I have a person like that in my life. Like, I don't think that I have like somebody that I've dated in my past that I'm like, oh my God, like it was always them and it's always going to be them and it's never going to be somebody else. To me, I feel like if you have that about somebody and you're dating somebody else, right? Let's say you're a person that you're holding on to an old person that you used to love. And again, you're dating somebody new. I truly feel that you actually just haven't found your person yet. If you want me to be blunt as fuck, for me personally, I would never date somebody new until I felt that same amount of energy towards somebody else. I think for some people it's hard. To be honest, you know what it is? I think a lot of people believe that it's too hard to find and they give up. That's most things in life. It's exactly what we're talking about right now. Which is like most people are beat by fear. Most people don't have the belief that they can receive the things that they want, so they settle. And then they live in this perpetual state of settling. They live in this perpetual state of not feeling good or just thinking that what they have in front of them is enough. They feel good for a little bit, but then underlying the whole time in their life, there's this underlying feeling. Again, your body tells you. Your body's telling you that something is not fully aligned for you. I refuse to fucking live like that. Hell to the fuck no. Hell no. And here's the thing. I feel like it's hard when you do have these unrelenting standards. I think some people think to themselves, oh, well, in order for me to be content and happy, I need to receive all of the external outcomes that I want. That's also bullshit. Because like I said, I think there's a sweet spot, which is we do have to be in touch with reality. We do. There's certain things that you might not be naturally equipped for. There's certain things that you might not actually do. For me, right? Think about me, my college self, what I was saying. I'm going to be the best at everything. I'm going to be the smartest, the fittest, the funniest, the best in bed, the best this, the best that, the best athlete, the best this. At some point, you got to face reality and make choices for yourself. Like I said, imperfect ass choices. There's only so much I can do in every single realm if I'm focusing on all those different things. It's bullshit. That to me is me trying to live in a fantasy. And to me, that's the only time when I feel like your standards are unfair, I would say, or too high, because I don't believe in necessarily that. But it's like, can you come up with standards and goals for yourself that I don't want to say are realistic, because I always want you to reach for more, but can you be content with what you have, even though you're striving for more? To me, that is the sweet spot. But it's about being at peace with what it is that you have in the moment as well. But again, if there's something that is off in your life, this is probably the other big lesson I wrote down, is take responsibility for your outcomes and face reality. If you're unhappy or something's not working, own that shit. It's not somebody else's fault that your relationship is not working. Actually, this was a big one. I have a client right now who's anxious, preoccupied. So this one is more for my anxious folks. Is y'all get so focused and hyper-focused on your partner that you lose sight of your experience. And the thing is, what ends up happening is you live in this underlying resentment to the ways that your partner are not showing up for you, and you lose sight of the fact that the reason that you're not feeling good is not because of your partner, but it's because of the choices that you're making for yourself. And all of my anxious folk is like, that is the big thing. The big mental shift is learning to stop putting so much responsibility onto your partner, and stop trying to solve your partner, and stop trying to fix your partner, and recognize that you own your happiness. You own the choices that you make. You own the outcome of this relationship. If there's something that you want that you're not getting, it's up to you. It's not up to your partner to change to give you what you want. It's paying attention to your experience. How do you feel in the relationship? And that's what's crazy. Most anxious people, partners, they have all these hidden expectations, and that's why they live with so much resentment towards that avoidant partner. That's why they call them narcissists. That's why they call them selfish. All you do is name call all day long and try to fix and tell them that they're not ready for commitment, and they're not ready for this, and they're doing this wrong, they're doing that wrong. Meanwhile, the whole entire time, you have lost sight of yourself and the responsibility that you need to take for your own life and your own happiness and the relationship that you want. And stop trying to fix everybody or change the outcome or control people. You know, these are all egotistical responses. And everybody's, again, the biggest thing too, right, is everybody's disconnected from their own experience and their own true feelings. I would say that's the other big, giant motherfucking lesson. Is that, right? Is like, really get in touch and pay attention to your experience. Pay attention to your feelings. If you're avoidant, you really need to get in touch with that and learn to be more vulnerable and show up with love and not fear. With anxious, same thing. Pay attention to how you're being treated. Do you like it? Do you agree with it? Do you think it's true? These people come around and gaslight the fuck out of you, tell you that you're not enough, tell you that you're crazy, tell you that you're too much. And all you do is sit there and overthink how you could try to change the situation without realizing what you really need to do is get in touch with how you feel and honor that. If something doesn't feel good to you, express that. And don't try to fix them. Set a boundary. You're not getting your needs met. Maybe that's not the right partner for you. That's what I'm trying to say. I think like the biggest overall lesson is learning to be really fucking open, be vulnerable, and be loving. And when I say be loving, it's not just towards the way that other people feel, right? Or towards another person. When I say be loving, I'm talking about what is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for that person. And we have to try to find balance between both of those two things. Because sometimes when I say be loving to an anxious person, what they think then is, oh, I need to compromise what it is that I want. Oh, I need to sacrifice my needs because I care about them. Oh, I just care about them. That's why I'm showing up again. That's why I'm showing up in this situationship bullshit, because I love them. No, when I say be loving or take the most loving action, what about yourself? If you were to love yourself entirely, what would you do in this situation? Oh, I would set a boundary. I would tell them that I can't do that. Actually, the most loving thing that you can do in every situation is just be fucking real and authentic to the way that you feel. But in order to be authentic and real to the way that you feel is you got to pay attention to how you're feeling. You gotta stop worrying about the expectations of everybody around you, your family, your mother. It doesn't matter what she thinks. Your father, your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your best friend, society, the internet. Get in tune with who you are. Get in tune with what you feel and express the fuck out of it. Express it in your artwork. Express it in your relationships. Express it everywhere you possibly can, and trust that you're going to be safe, and trust that you're going to be okay, and trust that you are going to survive. That's what I'm saying. This new version of Chris, I'll tell you the biggest difference. Like, I've been an entrepreneur for, I don't know, 5-6 years now, like working on my own, living on my own. I don't have a boss. I don't have a corporation. Well, I guess I am my own corporation. And sometimes what would happen is I would start losing coachees for a little while, right? Maybe sometimes I'd only have 3 clients in a week. That's not sustainable, by the way, for me. If I get 3 clients every week for a whole month, I'm in the very negative. Like, that's borderline not paying my rent. And what I've realized, again, is like taking a step back and looking at your life holistically. It's like, I just now have this level of trust that even when shit's not going right, according to me, it's going to be okay. And I think that's the biggest thing I want to transfer to you as like a guide in your life is like, no matter what you do, if you show up with love to everything that you do, work, relationships, openness, vulnerability, and you put in effort to solve those problems that you have in those situations, you're never going to fail. And even when it looks bleak, and even when you do actually fucking get crashed, right? That's what I'm saying. For me, there's been weeks where I have 15 clients and I have so much money, and then there's fucking weeks where I have 3 and I'm like, holy shit, if I don't sign somebody next week, I'm going to die. I'm like, holy shit. But that's what I'm trying to say is like that level of self-trust to just allow it and not force it and not have this scarcity mindset that shit's not going to work out for me. That's the biggest difference. Is being able to just be like, all right, I got 3 clients this week. All right, that's okay. I'm going to figure it out. I know that I have the skills to make shit happen. I know that if I put out the energy that I need to, that things will come to life. Actually, maybe I need 3 clients right now because I need a little bit of a kick in the ass. Actually, I need this suffering. I need this uncomfortability. You might need that breakup. Let's say you're going through one right now. You don't even realize, but you need it. You need it. because there's bigger things in store for you. Maybe there's lessons you need to learn when you're down in the dumps. Maybe you need to learn to drop the ego. That's for a lot of people, I would say, in business too, right? That's what it is. It's like you can make a fuck ton of money, think that you know everything. You think that you're the shit and that you got everything figured out the exact way it needs to be. And next thing you know, something crashes, you lose everything. You might think that's the worst thing that's ever happened to you, but it actually might have saved your fucking life. Because maybe ego was taking you so far out of control that you needed to learn to be and have more humility. You needed to learn to listen. You needed to learn to be a beginner again. You needed to learn to focus on service of others. You needed to learn to let go of thinking that you had control. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you is like over the course of, this podcast, my life as a coach, like I said, one of the biggest things I'm learning is like, you don't control the up down. Life is up down. The whole thing. Your mood is up down. You know what I'm saying? Like I always thought that you could have the perfect mood at all times. That's a fallacy. That's a fable. That's bullshit. That's not true. You're going to worry sometimes. Fear's going to beat you sometimes. You're going to lose a lot of money sometimes. You're going to lose the person that you love sometimes. Things are not going to go the ways that you want. And like I said, even the most successful, even the people that have billions, cajillions of dollars, I can guarantee you if you talk to them about their story, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So to me, my maturity or what I feel like I'm recognizing, I'm learning for myself is like, just trust myself. Let go of having to control all of my emotions. Let go of trying to control all the external factors, such as, my social media or girls or whatever, and just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the experience of life. Enjoy the fact it's up and down. When you're in those downs, can you still have gratitude for that moment? Because I think that there is a way to live this level and have this level of like confidence and contentment and joy, which is different than happiness, by the way. Joy is different than happiness. Happiness to me is an emotion in the moment, which you don't have all the time, impossible. But there is an ability to live with contentment, joy, and peace majority of the time by being okay with the imperfections of life. By being okay with the imperfections of yourself, by being okay with the imperfections that we just naturally experience in terms of the expectations that we have with ourselves. Like I said, I thought that maybe I would be in a relationship by now. Maybe you did too. I thought that maybe by now the podcast would be way bigger than it is. I thought that by now I would have 1 million followers on Instagram. There's some people I watch on Instagram. There's a guy that started with me at the same time. Somebody that I really look up to without even recognizing that I do. And not necessarily like look up to, but I just admire, his ability to be free. But he's got like 3.4 million on Instagram and I've got 190K. We started at the same time. And what's funny is that like that thought and that experience happens for so many people in so many different ways. We like compare ourselves to other people constantly. And what does it do? Analysis paralysis, procrastination, fear that we're not good enough, fear that our shit isn't that amazing. And I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Like, I feel like that's one of the biggest things I experienced in terms of like changes this year for myself is like, I'm done comparing myself. I'm done not posting a video because I don't think it's going to get over 1,000 views. I don't give a fuck anymore. Like now, time out. Whoa. Not true. I give a massive fuck. I care. I care about the outcome. I care about being successful. I want to be massive. My goal for my life is to be an internet personality. I want to be huge. But what I do recognize that is more important than that is that I can't do it some other way. I can't do it their way. I gotta be me. And I gotta trust that if that is coming to me, it will. But the only way I can get there is if I'm truly just trusting myself and emitting my energy. And I just recognize now, it's like, I'm telling you, there's so many choices. I'm watching a video that I shot last night at 10 p.m. Is 10 p.m. a good time to post a video? No. At the beginning of the video, I was like, hey, going on a walk, shot some, listen to some voice notes, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of like not even talking about the main topic of what I'm talking about in the video. I know that most people watching that video are going to look at it for 3 seconds and scroll away. But you know what I said to myself? I was like, why the fuck do I give a fuck on the people that scroll away? And not that they're shitty, right? No. It's not that. But what I now realize about life is that the people that are meant to see that video will. If it's meant to be big, it will be. And you know what I'm showing myself by posting that video at 10 p.m., knowing that it's probably not going to be a viral video, is that I could still choose myself despite the way that other people view me. And I think that is the biggest lesson, I think, for you too, right? Listening to this podcast. If you're in a situation with a relationship and it's not going the ways that you want, and you're afraid to speak your truth, you're afraid to tell them what you want, you're afraid to tell them that you want to see them more, you're afraid to tell them that you want commitment, all you are showing to yourself is that you don't deserve that. And that's bullshit. Choose yourself. And that's what I'm trying to say. You want to build self-trust, which again, to me, is the number one thing. The number one thing. Number one. You have to take the risk right there of being who you are and being your truth. So in that moment, right, I want you to look at that text message and I want you to write it out. And I want you to say, hey, we've been doing this for X amount of time. You're fucking fantastic. I really do like you. And I want blank. I want commitment. I need better energy. I want to see you more. Because it's not about the outcome. It's about you choosing yourself. And if you do that enough, what do you think is going to happen? If I learn to post videos like that, what do you think will happen eventually? Ask yourself that question. Right? Take that moment of self-trust. Now multiply it times 200. Let's say I do that 200 times. What happens? Do you think I'm going to grow? I guess we don't really necessarily know, but I would like to think so. Maybe I get canceled at some point along the way, or maybe I go viral and I become so fucking huge that, I don't know, I'm taking a piss in the street. Right? And same thing for you in your relationships. Think about this one moment, right? Because we got to break it down into small pieces. Because everybody, again, we can't change everything all at once. We got to do it in little increments. But if we're going to build your self-trust, you need to take small steps, chip away at it. So let's say you're a person that you're in a situation where it's like, yeah, it's a situationship, or even just something smaller. You're dating somebody new, and I don't know, I have a client this week, right? He's a guy and he's dating this girl. There wasn't this level of vulnerability. She's kind of keeping him at a distance. And he knows he wants to see her more. He knows he wants more quality time, but he's afraid to say something. Why is he afraid to say something? Because he doesn't trust himself. Because what's the fear? The fear is what? Oh, what if she rejects that? Think about me in my earlier situation. Oh, but like, what if she doesn't answer me and I get rejected? And so what do? We keep ourselves in a box. And that's what, with any insecure attachment, by the way, this is what it is all you want to do all day long is try to control every outcome in your life. And that was me. That was Chris. Control everything. Oh, I got to hyperfixate on my diet. I need to hyperfixate on my routine. I need to hyperfixate on making videos. I need to hyperfixate on the person I'm dating, right? Oh, if they respond in this way and blah, 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 and I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to control. Me running away from this girl after she didn't show up in the ways that I wanted to was what? Me trying to control the situation. I'm trying to control her by dismissing her because I don't want to be out of control. Because that means that I'm going to have to face uncomfortable emotions potentially. So what I'm asking you to do is allow yourself to not be in control. Get out of control. Stop controlling. This is the key behind everything that I'm trying to teach you or help you with or guide you with. If you want to build self-trust, you got to take the risk and you got to get out of control. When I sent that message, I told myself that exact thing. I said, I got to put myself in a situation where I don't control. I don't control how she's going to respond. When I post a video, I don't control how they're going to perceive. With you, right? When you have, something that you want to say to somebody, but you don't know what the outcome is going to be, or you fear that you're not going to get the outcome that you want. That is a massive opportunity for you to prove to yourself and show yourself that you trust and you love yourself by choosing yourself, by allowing yourself to get out of control, by learning to admit and be who you are despite what the outcome might be. And like I said, you do that enough, multiply it right now by 200. In a relationship, you show up that way. Let's say my client, right? And for instance, he sends this text message and he tells this girl, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I want to see you more, right? I feel like we're not spending as much time as I would like. And, if you can't handle that, just like, tell me, let's talk about it. Vulnerability, right? Let's say his fear becomes reality. She rejects him. You know what? Yeah, I don't know if I could really do that. I'm sorry. It sucks in the moment, right? But what happens? Remember, multiply it. Now he has the information he needs to what? Move on. Now he moves on. Now what happens? He meets another girl. He does it again. Hey, I really like you and I would love to fucking date you because I think you're fucking dope. What if she turns around and says, yeah, I'm down. I love you back. Even though he didn't realize in the moment of that first risk, of that first option to trust himself, to speak his truth, and that rejection was the best thing for him. Get out of control. Stop it. Let go of thinking that you can manipulate the situation. You can't. You cannot. Trust yourself. Because it's going to lead you to the outcomes that you want. Right, there's going to be times where you bet on yourself and it doesn't go the way that you want. But what's fucking crazy is it still gets you to where you want to go. That is the whole point. Right? Yes, in this moment when I posted that video and it did shit. Yeah, guess what? Maybe it didn't get me the outcome that I wanted, but what did it show me? A valuable lesson that I could post videos and not give a shit about the outcome. And now I built up that trust. And now what happens? I start posting more often. Then what happens? Eventually I keep betting on red and betting on red and betting on red, betting on red. What happens? It hits. I get the outcome that I want. Then what happens? Oh, fuck. I can do it. I am worthy. I can build it. I can be who I want to be. I can receive this relationship that I want. This is what we're talking about. Confidence is not built at the beginning. It's built on a series of uncomfortable ass risks. But you got to be willing to take that first step. You got to be willing to take that risk of getting out of control. Get out of control. Stop. Let go. Be you. And also just a really quick funny update for you guys, because I know that was very heavy. And yeah, again, overall sentiment, right? You guys get it now, hopefully. Episode 100, be yourself. Because it's going to lead you everywhere you need to go. But remember 2 podcasts ago, I was talking about how I met that girl in New York, right? Not the one I got her Instagram, the other girl I met at the club. And then I was texting her and setting up that date, right? You guys remember? And this is all, again, to show you guys the power of trust, the power of not knowing, the power of not being in control. But remember, I was texting her back and forth, and then she was like, oh, I can't do Thursday, but I'll do Friday. And then she was like, all right, why don't we go to lunch? She said, we'll do lunch and drinks on Friday. And I was like, all right, cool. I said, I have a call at this time. I was like, personally, I don't like to drink, or personally, I don't need to drink, but I'm down for lunch. That sounds good. And what happened? She ghosted me, right? Now, I don't know if I told you guys on the podcast, but something that was great about when I met her was that she told me that she was going to be in Arizona in 2 weeks. So that was the whole thing. When we had connected in person at the club, like she had told me that, and then she was like, yeah, take down my number and yada, yada, right? The rest is history. Now, after that moment, right, after she had ghosted me, what happened? What happens when somebody dismisses you or ghosts you? Again, what do? What we feel like we could have controlled it. You know what I told myself? Oh, damn, maybe I should have just been a little bit more lax on the drinks part. Maybe I should have just I could have communicated that better, which is probably true, right? I could have been like, all right, that sounds good. Or yeah, I'm down to just have one or two, but I'm cool. Whatever, right? I mean, again, probably not. I answered in the way that I felt that I wanted to answer because I didn't really want to drink. Genuinely, I was like, I'm not really a big drinker, so why am I going to tell somebody I'm down for drinks if I don't really want to drink? And that's me being myself, right? Because I have this level of self-trust that I know that I need to just be real with people because I can't be bullshitting because it just leads to outcomes that I don't want. So this is going to sound so fucked. So you guys know the girl I used to talk to for a little while. She works at the club. And we saw each other one time since then, right? You know how that goes. BS, whatever. Run into each other, last final moment, whatever. We're still no contact. But she's a psychopath, anxious attacher. So she's all in my business. She looked through my phone in front of me. It's not like she was doing, she's like, whatever. She picks up my phone. She looks through my text. She tries, as most anxious girls do, when you are so attached to a guy, you don't give a fuck anymore because you're just all up in that guy's business. You don't care. She wants to find something that will villainize me so she can get over me. I love my anxious. Y'all are so fucking funny. So, you know what I'm saying? She's looking through my phone to just see if I'm texting other girls to see if she could get over me by seeing, she wants control, right? She's so afraid to be out of control that she wants to see who I'm talking to. I don't know, to potentially get over me or to see something incriminating, whatever. She sees the girl's name and she opens up that conversation that I have with the girl, right? You want to hear something fucking crazy? She's like, oh shit. She's like, how do you know this girl? I was like, oh, this, and I told her, because I'm being real with her. She knows that we're not together and shit. So I was like, oh, there's a girl that I was going to go on a date with, over in New York. She was like, oh, she was like, I just was at their event. She was working their event. This girl had a house party, right? At this Airbnb. There was 20 girls apparently and 2 guys. It turns out that the reason that they had the Airbnb, she has a boyfriend who funded the entire trip. Her and her 15 girlfriends are here in Arizona on a funded trip by apparently her boyfriend. So this girl saw me in the club. We locked eyes. We had a fucking moment and it didn't work out, right? So she didn't actually technically do anything. I guess she almost crossed the line, right? She was close. I think she would have maybe if I would have been down for drinks. But she was like, yeah, that girl was drinking a ton and she was partying like crazy. I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I met her on a fucking Tuesday. I'm like, who? This girl must be outside. You know what I'm saying? Not giving a fuck. And again, in that moment, right, I'm getting ghosted and I'm thinking to myself, again, I didn't get her Instagram. So I didn't have any of this information. And what's fucking crazy again is that you're sitting there in your head thinking, oh, fuck, this girl ghosted me. Damn, maybe I'm not maybe maybe I'm just not that cool, or maybe I wasn't that hot or some shit. Bro, you have no fucking idea. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. With any of these people, you meet somebody on a dating app, you meet somebody at the club, you meet somebody anywhere, you have no fucking clue. This is what I'm talking about how life is so random and there's so many different possibilities that there's no such thing as being perfect. Let it go. So again, the fact that I just trusted me being myself, think about it, me being myself got me out of technically a bad situation. I might have been going to hang out with some girl that was, fucking around with some fucking dude and getting myself into a whole bunch of drama that I had no idea of. God was actually protecting me by letting this girl ghost me. And my boundary of not being a heavy drinker just avoided somebody that's out here partying and kind of just doing some bullshit. And this is also, I think, a lesson too, is like, I'm truly a big believer. I don't think you can really find love in the club. I really don't. No offense. I don't know how many of these people are really like, not living in this deep amount of ego where they're just fucking around all the time. So yeah, crazy shit though, right? Like, again, this is what I'm trying to say about like life and how fucking uncontrollable it is and how unpredictable it is. And like, you just don't know. You just don't know. Stop thinking that you do. You don't. But I thought that was a fucking wild ass story. And I'm like, damn. I was like, damn, I got some game though. I was hyping myself. I'm like, hey, this girl we were checking each other out. Like, I don't know. That's kind of hype for me. I was like, damn, the fact that I even like got in that to some like rich dude's like fucking girlfriend that's like fucking flying them around everywhere. Apparently they're like going to do a bunch of more drug and alcohol trips as well. I was like, damn, look at me go. I'm the man. But it is crazy because, again, small world too. The fact that, again, think about this. The sequence of events for that to happen, for me to meet this girl in New York, get her number, for me then to like hook up with my ex and my ex to look through my phone, find her name, have worked with her at her party that she threw in Arizona 2 weeks later, and we didn't even know each other. How fucking wild is that? So the world is a very big place, but it is also a very small one at the same time. Crazy, honestly. All right. Let me see what I got here on time. Oh, it's a minute. I mean, it's an hour. I could really stop it there, but fuck it. I'm going to go a little extra. It's episode 100. So we just got to throw something else in there. Somebody sent me in a situation. I'm not going to fucking destroy the situation. But let's just quickly do a quick little sitch. All right. Okay. So this girl sent me a message and it's a decently long, situation. So buckle in. But she said, "Hey Chris, great podcast. Thank you. I've been putting in the work over these last few months and your podcast has helped more than you know. Question for you, looking for a male perspective on this. I've been talking to this guy for a little over 2 months. It's been going great. We have been taking things slow, but it's honestly been perfect speed. We both divorced with kids, so it's beneficial, refreshing being on the same page. We don't see each other a ton, maybe once every 2 weeks due to kid schedules, but we text a little nightly recap of our day or quick FaceTime. It's just enough. Over the last month, we have really grown closer with our conversation getting deeper. All was good until I saw him on Tuesday night a couple weeks ago. We texted normally on Wednesday, but by Thursday it all changed. I should provide backstory. His kid's mom has personal struggles, so he often ends up with them full time. He said Thursday he texted me how it had been a long day and his kid's mom called saying how she couldn't handle them. He was very understandably overwhelmed. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I then didn't hear from him. Sunday night, I texted him checking in since I hadn't heard from him, and I got sorry. I'm just having a pretty bad week. So again, now 2 months, they're vibing. Text is good. Random Thursday, he's overwhelmed with previous baby mama's kids, and essentially kind of, weirdly goes ghost on this girl Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then obviously our person here then texted him on Sunday night. She said, I texted him on Sunday night checking in since I hadn't heard from him, and I got, sorry, I'm just having a pretty bad week. So a little bit short and a little bit dismissive, right? It's one thing after another every day, and I feel like I can't catch a break, just feeling really overwhelmed and exhausted. I told him I'm here for support and he proceeded to give him space. Wednesday rolls around, have not heard from him. I check in again, And I got, sorry, I've been overwhelmed lately. Boom. That was it. That was the only explanation. After that, I decided not to reach out again because clearly he wants space for whatever he's dealing with. That was the last I've heard from him. Was this his way of ghosting me and being done? This man has been nothing but a gentleman, strong communicator, and emotionally mature up until this point. Woo! All right. Based on this podcast that we've been going in on, right? Self-trust, letting go of control. This is tough, right? Looking at reality. This is it. This is what I told you about life. It's so fucking unpredictable. You have no control. You have no idea what is really going on behind the scenes. And I think that's what's happening in this situation, right? It's like all of a sudden, energy just kind of dissipates. Now, what is interesting is that, you guys were texting, but you weren't really seeing each other very often. My question to you is like, yes, that probably is functional and great for you, but where was the progress in this relationship? I do see this a lot sometimes where you're a little bit distant from somebody. And it's just like with my client that I was talking about earlier, where like you're dating somebody, both of you are like not really investing a ton into the relationship, but it feels good for both at the moment because it kind of just feels like light and like easy to maintain. But what I see with some of these relationships sometimes when it's like that, sometimes it hits a point where somebody wants a little bit more closeness and they're not actually getting it. And they're kind of just going along with the situation because they don't really have a complaint, but very, very slowly and insidiously, without realizing it, you're not actually making any progress or getting closer. And I feel like that was what was kind of happening a little bit. You're saying you're seeing each other every 2 weeks. My question is like, I mean, you can build a relationship this way. I'm not denying that. But with that amount of distance, that to me is very hard. How are you actually getting to know somebody? I understand, again, the nightly text and the FaceTime, and maybe it was working again with your hectic schedules. I totally understand that. But you really don't know somebody still. And I think that's the key behind this is recognizing that. It's like the hard part with that setup is that you're not really in each other's energy enough to really know for certain. And we are talking about almost like an 8-week period. So if you're seeing each other every 2 weeks over a 2-month span, what is that? What? 4 to 6 hangouts maybe? You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, like that's not really a lot. So that's the thing is like we're creating this again, this idea of where we want the relationship to go. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? The way that you're showing it in this relationship, there's nothing wrong with that. Although this is what ends up happening, right? Something shifts, something changes. And you're saying, okay, the question that you asked was this his way of ghosting me and being done? I don't know. Kind of feels that way, right? That's the hard part is like, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. That's what I'm trying to say. This is where the self-trust comes in so huge. Exactly what I've been talking about this entire podcast. Life, unpredictable as fuck. You don't control the outcomes. You're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, what did I say? What did I do? Did I say something when we hung out? Am I doing the right thing? Am I being too much? You're questioning the fuck out of yourself. The question I would ask you in this situation is, did you show up vulnerable and did you show up honest? Did you express what you needed to express? It seems to me from this situation, genuinely, that you did do that. It seems to me that you didn't cling on. You didn't force anything. You checked in with him after not hearing from him 3 days. You checked in again. I think that is courageous, right? Especially when you haven't heard from somebody. Right? That takes a level of vulnerability to check in on somebody. You haven't heard from them. You feel like the relationship is going in a certain direction. You're trying to get answers and you're met with distance and you're met with resistance. And my best advice to you in this situation is I don't know what he's doing. Do I know if he's ghosting you or not? I don't. Does it look that way from the outside? Kinda. But what would I want you to do in this situation? Trust. And I know it's fucking hard because in this moment, you're facing all these uncomfortable emotions. You built up, I would assume, this idea of what you want the relationship to be. You built up this idea of where it was going. You built up this idea and this hope for where things would be and how things were, starting to form. And this is what life does. It says, hey, you have this plan. You have this idea in your head of the way that you think life should be. And it comes and it says, fuck that plan. Punches that plan right in the face. And this is why having that level of self-trust is so important. And understanding like that life is going to be imperfect is so important. It's because you don't control him. You don't control the outcome of this relationship. What can you do in this particular situation? To me, you got to face these uncomfortable feelings. You got to face these uncomfortable emotions. You got to trust that there's a reason that this is happening and it's actually beneficial for you without you even realizing it. And I know in this moment, it's probably fucking hard as fuck to hear that because that's what a lot of people, right? It's like we don't get the outcomes that we want and it's hard to trust, right? When I got ghosted in that moment for the dinner, did that feel good? No. What didn't I see behind the scenes? Behind the scenes, homegirl had a whole boyfriend. You in this situation, maybe he's ghosting you and pushing you away, but maybe something's going on. You don't know that. Maybe the person that you felt that you were getting to know slowly over text, he's maybe a gentleman, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's not a bad guy. But maybe he didn't view you in the same way. Maybe, that's what I'm saying, something else is going on behind the scenes and he is slowly exiting himself out of the relationship. Maybe he struggles to take responsibility and accountability for his actions. Maybe fear is beating him so bad right now that he doesn't know how to show up in a relationship. And when I see text messages like that, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I had a pretty bad week. It's one thing after another. I feel like I can't catch a break. Is this somebody that has self-security? Is this somebody that is grounded? And again, not to belittle him and not to put him down. That's not it, right? Fuck ego. We're not doing that. Pure love. I hope this guy figures it out. I hope this guy can get back on his feet, whatever it might be. But if he's struggling with himself internally and his life as it is, how is he going to show up for you in a relationship? Especially trying to upkeep it over text message. To me, that feels very burdensome when you're not seeing somebody very often. Or, yeah, you're just not prepared to have that relationship with that person. The hard part for you is facing that reality. The hard part for you is learning to look at this situation, learning not to take it personal, and then setting a boundary, and then trusting that it's the best thing for you, which is extremely difficult. So is fear going to beat you? Yes. Are you going to sit there and overthink some nights? Yes. Are you going to sit there and not be able to sleep some nights because you feel like you're getting ghosted? Probably. Maybe. I don't really know your emotions right now. But if I was you, and something that I'm learning to do with myself is as best I can is face those emotions, face those fears, trust in God. Trust in the bigger purpose. Trust in the plan. Trust in the imperfections of life. Trust the fact that you showed up as best you could in this relationship and you don't control him. And trust that if he's truly meant for you, he'll come find you. And trust that maybe there's something that, again, that you can't see that you're being protected from. And I would say that's the biggest piece of advice right there is like, it sucks when this shit happens. It sucks when we have that fantasy. But that's life. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like literally, that is it. It's a continuous loop of moving towards the things that you want, having problems, failing, learning from those problems and failing, and then learning to come back stronger. And that's life in a nutshell. It's just cyclical. It's a circle. The entire time. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Pass, fail, pass, fail, pass, fail. Love, fear, love, fear, love, fear, love, fear. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Or I would say win, lesson, win, lesson, win, lesson. Get comfortable with that. So, I don't know if he's done, But here's the thing. How do you feel? Right? So let's say you're anxious attachment, this situation. And how would I feel in this situation? I would feel anxious as fuck. I would be overthinking, probably for days. But I would then recognize, hey, this doesn't feel good. Hey, I don't want a relationship with somebody that can't show up for me and can't communicate with me. Hey, I understand that he's going through a lot, but it's not my job to fix him. It's not my job to save him. He's a grown-ass man. He's struggling with things. He's going through things. I can't control that. But I can't let that energy deteriorate my good vibes. I can't let that energy deteriorate my goals, the things that I want in a relationship. And so even though it's hard as fuck to look at the reality of the situation, take the blinders off, face the reality. Homie's ghosting you. Homie's not showing up for you. Let him go. Because even if he does come back, again, if he comes back with candor and he comes back with good energy, maybe you allow him back into your life. But don't sit there on this fantasy and hope of what things could have been after hanging out with somebody for fucking 8 weeks. Please. You don't know him. And I know it's hard to face that truth, but it's just the fucking facts. And a lot of us, we're living in fantasy land. We do. With a lot of my clients, this is what it is. I think this is why I feel like some of them really break through, is because I'm not going to sit there and let you look through the rose-colored glasses. No, cut that out. I had a client that is reaching back out and talking to an old ex that has not shown up for her in fucking years, and she's still holding on to this guy, thinking that it's going to be different than the way it is. It's been the same way it's been over the last 2 years. I had to check the fuck out of her. He's not coming back. He's not showing up. Own it. Look at it. Be real. Because I'm telling you, you're going to be so much more effective in this world when you remove the fantasy. That's what I'm saying. Remove the glamour. Remove the story that you have created with him. And look at it for what it is. Yeah, he might be overwhelmed, but the right person doesn't abandon. The right person doesn't leave you in the dark. And then guess what? Maybe he really is, again, going through it, but if he's really meant to be with you, he'll come find you. But do not sit there and fucking wait. No. You go, you live your life, and you secure the things that you know you want for yourself. And you're going to take fucking licks. That's what's crazy. This is the part that pisses me off. I'm pissed and I'm laughing at the same time. What gets me so fucking frustrated is people that feel like they shouldn't fail anymore. Oh, I'm doing this again for the 100th time. I've gone through rejection again for the 30th time. When is it going to end? Never. Never. Buckle up. Buckle up. This is what I'm talking about. You're never going to hit the plateau of, my life is perfect. Everything is good. I found the perfect partner and we are never going to fail. Nothing is ever going to feel hard ever again. Bullshit. What if the person that you love for 5 straight years gets hit by a fucking bus? I'm just being real. My whole point is, instead of looking at life and getting upset at yourself or getting mad at life for hard things happening, I'm like, no, let's develop the strength so that you can handle hard shit. Let's develop the strength that when things like this happen, that you can handle your emotions, that you could feel your emotions. You could allow yourself to suffer sometimes. You could allow yourself to fail sometimes. Dust yourself off, get back up, and stay focused on what it is that is important to you. And still live with contentment, joy, and peace, even through the difficult times. Now that's what this is motherfucking about. All right, episode 100. Hope you guys liked it. That felt really good. I love you guys. And yeah, don't try to be perfect. You don't need to be. You never will be. Get used to it. If you ever want to work with me, you know where to find me.